Hello and welcome to our story, Navigating the Real Estate Business. In this week's episode, my husband and I will talk about our side hustle real estate business and how I asked for half. We will go over fun and interesting stories that have shaped how we do business with others and how those experiences have led us to where we are today. So sit back, relax, and learn about how he reacted to me when I asked for half. Hey, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Chris.
And welcome to
Our story.
All right, what are we talking about today, Chris?
All right, today we're going to be talking more about being an entrepreneur while on active duty or being a military family.
Is that tough or what?
Oh yeah, it's definitely has its ups and downs.
Okay, so are we going to talk about downs first or do you want to talk about ups first?
Well, let's just get into where we actually are and how we got on this journey.
Okay, so let's get started.
So about maybe 10 years ago, I had an idea that I wanted to start investing in real estate. So I went over to Stephanie, I communicated my ideas with her, and she gave me the blessings, so we got started. Soon as we got started, we start seeing that there was definitely going to be some barriers for entry being an active duty soldier. One of which was I couldn't be everywhere at one time because I have a full-time job, and that full-time job needed to be serviced.
That's where I came in. I was his support during that particular time that we were going through, and I kind of got us through those rough patches, so to say.
Gotcha. She was a great helpmate. I mean, she definitely filled the gap quite nicely because some of the things that I'm weak at, she's definitely strong at, and vice versa.
I would say the one story that comes to my mind was when they shipped him off. He went to a particular school and he was going to be gone for 8 weeks. And I was responsible for quite a bit at that time. I was a mother, a student. I was in graduate school trying to get my master's degree. I just got promoted on my job. And when they sent him off, then an opportunity came for us to actually get a property.
So what happened was, oftentimes we'll always stay right on the cusp of being ready for any opportunity that arises. And one came up. So we dove in with both feet. But my job called at the last second and said, hey, listen, we got an opportunity to go away for a school. We got you a walk-on slot. Yeah. And if you know anything about active duty, you do not turn down a school.
Right.
It's like, it's an unwritten rule. If you get a school, you go to school. So we were about halfway through the journey. We were looking at different properties to go ahead and pull the trigger and take care of one, or to buy one. And they said, hey, be ready to go next Tuesday. That next Tuesday, I had to be on site to view a property, and she stepped in, and she went down and she viewed the property.
I did. Went down to this particular city, had to drive pretty much all day, and I met up with the real estate agent, and I also met up with the inspector. I had to schedule everything, kind of get everybody together on this particular day. I drove down and basically conducted that business. It was pretty much an all-day affair, and by the time I got back, I think it was about 8 or 9 o'clock that night. I was able to meet with the inspectors, go over what they found on the property. I was able to take the notes and gather all the information on questions that I knew he was going to have when I called him. And I got all of the bids, and I was able to do a walkthrough, which is pretty nice because we don't always get to walk through the properties that we purchase. So I was able to walk through this particular property, take photos, and basically was able to send all that information over to Krishan when he was out of town. So that was pretty helpful, and we kind of chatted about what we thought about it and proceeded from there.
And it worked out great because oftentimes when you go and you do all the walkthroughs and you do all the legwork, you have a specific process. You know exactly what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. But when she went in and she got the information she was looking for, it gave me a different perspective. So of course there were some things that I wish that I could have done if I was there, but it was far outweighed by the things that she got that I wouldn't have picked up. But that brings up something that's absolutely essential if you're going to open a business while on active duty. You have to network, make connections, and find that stand-in, because what she didn't say was we had a connection down there already. My father was in that city already, so he was able to go down there, and my father is way more advanced when it comes to business than I am. So it was great to have her with a unique perspective to go look at it, as well as the expertise of my dad to stand in and fill the gap while I was away. So it worked out great.
And I'm going to tell you, I was very standoffish at first. I wasn't really sure exactly how the business was going to go. My main question was, how are we going to make money?
Yes.
You know, that's what I want to know. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but how are we going to make money? And so actually, that was a blessing that they actually sent him away to military school, because it allowed me to kind of be on the front line, so to speak, be the man on the ground. I'm not sure if you've heard anybody say that before, but literally on the ground, conducting the business, going down, making the connections, meeting the people, getting the bids, and really just kind of submerging myself in the process, in the experience. And I don't know, I'm going to just tell you, after that trip, he'll tell you what I came back and asked him. That might be a story for another day. But it really helped my understanding of how we make money.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, because it was great. I mean, it's funny how it goes, how you never know what's going to be that blessing. I mean, yeah. I thought, oh my goodness, we have all this money on the line. I have to go away for 8 weeks. I don't know how this is going to work out. She came in, and not only was she able to fill that gap, but she came out with a greater appreciation and a greater desire to advance the business. And I will tell you, being a sole proprietor is great, but having the person that you rely on most for decision making and influences, having them on board is priceless. Because when she came back from that trip and she had a greater understanding, a greater appreciation, and a newly found passion for the business, oh, the business flourished after that. We start buying things hand over fist, and we start making some really good decisions after that.
yes, so I made the mistake of saying, hey, can I buy into the business?
Oh my goodness.
And let's just go back now. I had only visited one property. I mean, you know, and he had been doing it for quite some time and feeling that strain and, you know, being stressed out and, you know, really, because the first property we purchased was a duplex. And he was under a lot of strain, and at that point, I wasn't really involved.
She's not telling it, right?
Well, anyway, I got a greater respect for it. And then when he was able to explain it to me, I thought, you know, that really makes sense to kind of shoulder, right? Because there's one thing to kind of like come in when something is already rolling, right? But then there's another thing, you know, to say, hey, I'm going to start this from scratch. I mean, I have absolutely nothing, and then I'm going to barter on nothing, and then absolutely make something awesome out of it. I began to start to understand more.
So let me tell you what happened. So early on, when I wanted to open the business, she was 100% supportive in a supportive role. But as far as an active role,
No.
wasn't about that life.
No.
So early on, when it was time to make those big decisions, like when we bought the first property, I cut back all my expenses, and she made some sacrifices as well, as far as like increasing her commute and cutting back some of the things that she wanted. But it was me
Different
making the major decisions to cut back really far, making the major decisions on which risks we were going to take. So every risk that had to be taken, I had to personally, you know, analyze it and just go over it and sit in that stress. You know, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation to where you're about to spend every penny that you saved for the last year with one click of the mouse. And the amount of stress that is on your shoulders, knowing that the decision that you're about to make could potentially put your family in harm's way. And for somebody to come in and say, hey, listen, half of this business is mine. She didn't say, I want to buy into the business. She's like, well, half of this is mine. And I'm like, really? All this stress? All this heartache? And half? You know, and in hindsight, I could have handled it better. But in the moment, it was like I had immediately thought back to all the stress and all the sleepless nights. And I was like, nah. This is mine. If you want to get something started, I will be 100% supportive. I will be your cheerleader.
But it's harder. It's harder to start on your own. I just kind of like, you know, to jump on the bus while it's moving. That's more comfortable for me, but totally understandable. Totally respected that honesty, right? We want our partners to be super honest with, the communication is important, the honesty, the trust, and we have that. I might as well tell you, honey, I think the business might have strengthened our relationship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
But I will say, and that was my initial thought. It was that because it wasn't no prep. Like I didn't talk to you later. It was like, bam, half of it's mine. But after I sat with it for a while, and I really thought about it, and I thought about all the sacrifices she's made and how encouraging she's been. It would have been 100% selfish not to understand that, hey, she's passionate about this now. She's been there since day one. That truly half of it is truly hers. And I sat down and I explained, like, yes, half of it is yours. But if you want to get on the same level as me, some sacrifices will have to be made.
Absolutely.
And because of that difficult conversation that we had, we came out of that conversation far stronger than what we went into it. Because, I think going down to Memphis kind of gave her insight into the final steps. When the joy is had and when all the celebrations done.
The other side of it.
When we peeled it back and I showed her all the rest, I'm like, hey, listen, this is how much we actually spend, and this is how much you have to bring to the table to be part of this. I'm old school. I follow the rule. If you don't bring nothing, you don't eat nothing.
That's hilarious.
So we had that conversation. We came out with an understanding. And I will be the first to admit, our business is much more successful with her being part of it than me doing it by myself. Because when I'm slacking off, when I want to sit down and watch some Monday Night Football and there's an auction going on, she's the first to nudge me like, hey, isn't this something that you need to be doing right now?
Right.
So having that accountability definitely is helpful, as well as the other things that she brings to the table.
And I can tell you, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. And I see a lot of step 1 and then step 100.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't ever see a whole lot of like in between, like, okay, people say, okay, this is what I had when I started, now I'm a millionaire. And, we're like, hey, we want to know what are the 99 steps in between?
Let's talk about steps 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. And so, one of those steps, I'm not really sure which step it is, but the step where, he thought he was being funny. Let me tell you. He was like, oh, you want to learn a little bit about the business? You think that, you should have half the business. He was like, I need you to analyze these 1,000 properties. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, huh? Yeah. And so I had a whole weekend, because I work Monday through Friday. So for a whole weekend, I had to sit there. And I got up at 6 a.m. that morning, and I'm just going property after property. Nope, just going through, no, that's not going to make the cut. No, that's not going to make the cut. Okay, maybe. And we had a graph, green neighborhoods, yellow neighborhoods, red neighborhoods. And I had to categorize them and which ones I thought would be good and which ones I did. And so that's what the people don't tell you on YouTube. They don't tell you the nights and the long nights and the long days of finding properties. That's like the major issue, is finding the properties.
Oh, yeah.
And the way we get the properties, you have to sift. It's not like you get to go to Zillow.com. No, we have like a spreadsheet, because he loves spreadsheets. So we've got these spreadsheets, and then we've got them categorized and color-coded, and that is really what gave me that earnest understanding of this is work.
Oh yeah, because people don't understand. To buy one property, we may analyze 12,000 properties. We may use a spreadsheet with over 60 different indicators on there, just to make sure that we put ourselves in the best position by doing our due diligence. So that is what came out of that. But me and my spreadsheets and her spontaneity really made it come together and gel well. Yeah,
I think so. Throughout this process, I've learned a lot, and we plan on sharing with you each step that we went through from the beginning to where we are right now. And hopefully to impart some information that you can take with you, something you can really use. Just, how'd you get the money? You want to know, how did he get the money to even get started?
And that's one thing that we definitely want to communicate. The reason why I wanted to make this video in particular is to show active duty soldiers that they can do it. Yeah. Because believe it or not, there are way more benefits to being an active duty soldier than there are drawbacks. For example, when I bought the first property, the real estate agent was like, hey, you need to go hire a lawyer to look over the contracts. I was like, no, we got somebody on base that does that for free.
Yeah.
When it was time to finance a property, like, no, we have a program for that. When it was time to have a property inspected, like, no, we got a program for that as well. We had all these different programs in place that I was able to tap in at no cost to me as an active duty soldier. And if I was not in the military, I would have had to reach out and do all this work on my own.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. And I mean, not everybody has access to those benefits, but how many people watching right now are active duty that don't even know they have those programs?
Exactly. Because there's so many different benefits of being in the Army that people gravitate to the ones that are really sexy, the ones that are publicized and promoted really heavily. But those ones that are not is where the juice is. I mean, that really makes the squeeze versus the juice.
So can you tell if there's anybody out here who is active duty military? Where would they go to find those programs?
First thing I would do is that I would go online and I would find a military group that's doing just that. Okay. Facebook is a great place for it. Instagram is a great place for it. Just find those people out there who are already, because as an army person, then we tend to click up really heavy. If one person's doing it, there's 1,000 people doing it. So find that group online. Or go down to the Army Community Center and ask about the benefit and start there. For the VA, of course, go to the Veterans Administration website and look on there. But there's always information out there. Look on forums. But the first thing that I would advise any active duty soldier that wants to do something like this is to get up and take action. I think that you can Google, you can make spreadsheets, you can search all day long, but the first step is to get up and take action. I will say this 1,000 times. The best opportunities that you will find are those that you find when you're actually doing it, because action begets action.
Now we'll ask a very important question. It's a question that's always been in the back of my mind ever since I was in my 20s. And I'm pretty sure some of you want to know, how do you get that initial seed money?
So how do you get the initial seed money? Budgeting and saving. A lot of people feel like if you save money, you'll have enough money, or it's too hard to save the money. Yeah, if you don't cut back the expenses, it will be almost impossible to save the money. So a combination of restricting your spending and managing your savings, and make sure you allocate it in the right way, put it in a high yield saving account or something like that. That's how you get the seed money, $1 at a time. Now, there are some opportunities for active duty soldiers to help us out. You can use the VA loan, which has a 0% down payment, or you can. How I got mine was I deployed overseas, and when I deployed overseas, I spent not one dime. Well, I won't say not spend one dime. I spent $35 the whole year, and that enabled me to come back. And while everybody else was spending their money and enjoying the money, I was investing in myself. So that's how I got the money to start.
So what you're saying is being an active duty military person didn't hold you back from starting your own business. It actually,
yes.
Would you say it kind of catapulted
Absolutely.
You into it?
Absolutely. It gave me a network of people who were already trying to achieve greatness. 2, it gave me opportunities to restrict my spending as well as save. 3, it gave me encouragement by talking to people who were already used to taking action.
Would you say at any moment during this process you felt like, oh my goodness, I don't know that I'll be able to do this?
Absolutely. I will tell you that on this journey there are going to be many, many countable parking spaces. And if you park in one of those spaces, you'll watch all the success that you could have had drive right past you. And I've had people like Stephanie in my corner to say, hey, listen, are you sure that you want to stop here? We have that conversation often.
Yeah, we do.
And it's when I get to the point to where the risk is extremely high or the stress is really intense. So yes, there have been many occasions to where I thought, hey, I've maybe bitten off more than I can chew. For example, when I have to go away for an 8-week school unexpectedly, or I got to go to a field, or I'm deeply engaged at a project at work and I get an unexpected phone call about something that needs to be addressed right now. And those are the moments when you really have to have that internal network, like your wife or my father or somebody like that who you can call on, who you can vent to a little bit, and they can go ahead and listen and put you back on course.
I would say my piece of advice is to start early. I talk to Shauna all the time about this. Is I wish we started 10 years earlier. I wish we, started doing this in our 20s instead of in our 30s. And so that one piece of advice to impart on you from this video, from me, from my perspective, is I wish we would have started earlier, because I feel like we could have amassed a few more properties had we done that, because it does take time to save the money. I mean, we're both saving, we both work, so we both save, so we do it twice as fast. And if you're an individual out there, thinking about it, and you don't have a support system, it could take you twice as long. But it doesn't mean that will stand in the way of your dreams, goals, and aspirations.
Gotcha.
You say?
Yeah, I agree. I'll tell you, even if you're not in the Army and you're just thinking about it, it's perfect time to start right now. There's always going to be an excuse why not to do it today. So if you're active duty already, go ahead and get started. Yeah. If you're not on active duty, go talk to your recruiter and get in the mix.
Okay, well, I think that ends today's video. We're so happy that you decided to join us today. We thank you so much for your support. We're going to be doing this every Wednesday, and if you have any questions or you're curious about something, you can leave those questions in the description box below. And I think what we are going to do is, at the end of each video, we're going to answer a few of those questions.
Gotcha. So today, how we're going to end this by saying we're by no way experts in any of these fields.
Correct.
We're just ordinary people trying to do extraordinary things.
All right, and don't forget to do something nice for someone today, and you can do it.